My breast cancer was found initially through an annual mammogram. Well, I was diagnosed with stage 0, and some people will say that's not really cancer, but it's treated as cancer. So that meant that the cancer was in the milk ducts, and it was just waiting to kind of bust out and form a tumor. The treatment that was recommended was a choice between complete mastectomy and no further treatment, or lumpectomy and radiation. And I chose lumpectomy and radiation because at the time I didn't think I could live with a full missing breast, and I was concerned about reconstruction. I am very happy about the choice I made to not have reconstruction. As I have said on many occasions, I was concerned about the potential risk for infection, the fact that I was not going to have a symmetrical result, that the left breast would have had to have been operated on as well in order to get some balance there. I was also concerned about the cost of the medical copays and time off work. So for me, I'm very pleased with it. I don't really look at my breasts a lot. I don't turn away from them, but it's just not a big deal for me. I use a breast form. It's something that you have to remember to put in every day. There have been occasions I traveled quite a bit for my work where I'll arrive at the airport and realize that it's not in and I've left it at home, and my husband will have to FedEx it to me, and that's annoying. But I also make sure that I travel with like a scarf or something so that if I have an issue, I forget it and I have a meeting, I can kind of cover it up. Because I still have part of my right breast, it's not as obvious as it would be if there was a full mastectomy with a full prosthetic. So I don't know, it's just another thing you do, like brush your teeth. You have a routine of getting dressed. You take the prosthetic and insert it into your bra. Well, I'm a swimmer, so I don't use a breast form when I swim, and I am unbalanced, but I don't care. Now, it is a problem, a breast form, if you want to wear something that's low cut. You can't wear a backless dress with a breast form because there isn't any kind of undergarment that will allow for that. They haven't really created one that might have a clear strap in the back, and clearly if you want to wear a backless dress, you still don't want a clear strap going across your back. So for some cosmetic reasons, there are issues with having a breast form over reconstruction. Well, I was diagnosed at a time of job transition, so I'd quit my one job and I was going to work for another company where I was going to open a remote, kind of a satellite office for them for the type of business they conducted in the Detroit area. And I thought the time between completing one job and starting the new one would be a good time to take care of some of my annual health tests, including that mammogram. And I never would have quit that other job had I suspected that my mammogram was going to show suspicion for breast cancer and find out that I was diagnosed, because I was now really left with a COBRA premium of $1,200 a month to insure myself to life-saving care, potentially life-saving care, and to my children and my self-employed husband. And then without my income, which represented 70% of our household income that we needed to just pay the basic bills, we went to a financial free fall, and that was the worst time for me. So when I was unable to get any help for some non-medical financial assistance through the hospital or through anything I could find online, I really decided, after meeting other women, working women like myself, who were struggling financially while in treatment, that I would try to give help. And I purchased a book called How to Form a Nonprofit Corporation, and it was about 1.5 inches thick, tiny print, bold-faced head subtitles, and I didn't want to read it, so I gave it to my new husband and I said, read this and tell me what to do. And then I put together a marketing plan that would allow the organization to pay up to 90 days and up to $3,000 of non-medical bills to patients, creditors who were in active treatment and had lost their income as a result of the diagnosis. So since we launched officially in October 2006, the Pink Fund has given out $1,797,000.62 on behalf of 1,682 patients and their families. Well, imagine if you receive a breast cancer diagnosis and how shocking that is, or any cancer diagnosis for that matter, and then the treatment is such that you physically, mentally, and emotionally cannot work. And when I talk about physically cannot work, I'm not talking about having a headache. I am talking about side effects like neuropathy, which is the numbing of fingers and toes. Some people can't feel anything in their arms or their fingers. They can't walk. That neuropathy can go away after treatment, but during treatment it's very physically challenging. That's one. Another are digestive issues. Some patients take drugs that they are literally have to be very close to a bathroom all day long, and you can't do that when you're working. Another issue is cognitive impairment, which is known as chemo brain. It's the ability to put thoughts together. They have actually shown brains of patients on chemotherapy and patients that are not on chemotherapy, and the patients on chemotherapy have holes in their brain. So those synapses really can't connect, and you really do have problems with your thought processes. And then there are skin rashes and mouth sores, and some people have dental issues. So imagine if you have 1, 2, 3, or more of those side effects, you really cannot work. Then imagine what happens if you don't have disability, either short or long term. And imagine what happens if you are from an average family in this country, in the United States, where you work paycheck to paycheck, and even the loss of 1 week's of income is going to put you in a financially precarious situation. What are you going to do? The most radical move that a patient will make is to quit treatment and go back to work. There are two financial issues, and it's actually known as financial toxicity. Physicians are being trained now to ask questions about care and cost. So the first thing a patient needs to do is, when they receive that diagnosis, once they've recovered from the shock, is to sit down and ask their treating physician about the cost of their care. The question that you can ask is, I'm worried about the cost of my care. Who can I talk to here in your office or at the hospital about my financial obligations? That's number one. Number two, if you are working at the time of your diagnosis and you're concerned that you will have some of these side effects, which will be explained to you by your care team, depending on the treatment protocol they recommend, then you need to say, I work, my income is vitally important to my family. How can I schedule my treatment protocol so that I miss as few a day's work as possible? In other words, could I come in Thursday afternoon and only maybe miss Friday so that I can be back at work on Monday? Could you schedule your radiation appointments early in the morning or late at the end of the day? There are often accommodations that can be made that won't impact your work schedule quite as much.